WWT presents Partner Spotlight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Partner Spotlight brought to you by WWT Presents. My name is Steve McCall. I'm a technical solutions architect at WWT focused on data center infrastructure, specifically around compute. I'm excited today to be joined by Mark Kravitz, Hyperconverged Solution Business Manager at Hewlett-Packard Enterprises, and Hyung Kim, a colleague of mine here at WWT, who's also a technical solutions architect in the data center space. So after years of lift and shift cloud strategy, enterprise leaders, for the most part, have looked into, what they can move to the cloud, as well as what might need to remain on premises, and that's kind of led a lot of people to gravitate towards more of a hybrid model. So it makes sense to migrate some workloads to the public cloud, but everybody's looking at this now and going, it might not make sense for every workload to go to the public cloud. And that's where things like HPE and what we can do in the ATC would come into play for how we can evaluate these workloads for their placement. And Hyung, how is that changing how leaders are coming to us as they're looking at their IT infrastructure?
I think the cloud changed the expectation of the IT consumers. They want agile, on-demand services, get it fast and easily. They don't want to wait weeks or even days to get the services. They want it as soon as possible. The leaders, they want the agility to quickly move to implement the vision and to meet the business objectives. They don't want it to be an obstacle. They don't want IT to be an obstacle to the business outcome. Some may also want to pay what they use, not pay upfront for what they may use in the future, thus freeing up capital for the other initiatives.
And Hyung, in the ATC, did we have early access to HPE GreenLake for private cloud? What was some of our experiences that we had with that?
Yes, matter of fact, we did. At the time it was called HCI Manager, and so when we originally got the DHCI system with Electra 6030s, we were elected for the beta program for the DHCI Manager, which turned out to be the private cloud business edition. And we got to play with it, being able to access it from the DSCC and, provisioning VMs and so on, and trying out the public cloud portion of it, right? Looking at the workloads on the public cloud and on the hybrid cloud, on the private cloud. So we were able to really play with it, and we were pleasantly surprised when the EGA'd a couple months later.
So Mark, cloud is, no doubt influencing that infrastructure design. And as data centers continue to grow in how much data gets created on a daily basis, how's that changing how a leader or an IT company might think about their infrastructure strategy?
Well, it's a really good question. I think, what we're seeing is, as customers, look at their overall workloads and, specifically they see the benefits that they're getting from their cloud native workloads. They're asking the question, well, why can't I bring that to all my workloads? Specifically the ones that need to stay on prem, by reasons like data governance or data gravity or any type of compliance reason, right? So as they bring their infrastructure, and I think the challenge that they're seeing is they don't want to create any more silos, right? They don't want to add any more complexity, and a lot of the workloads that they're dealing with are really virtual. A lot of it is virtualized. And so, that's kind of the opportunity that we've been looking at, and we've heard from our customers is, they want to bring that hybrid, that public cloud like, what's the word I'm looking for? The public cloud like experience that they're getting for their cloud native workloads to their on-prem. And so that's a lot of where we've been focusing from, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise perspective with GreenLake. Is how do we bring that cloud experience to customers no matter where the workload is running, right? It could be in the cloud, but it also could be running in the edge, right? Running in a colo. But really, how do we really focus on that overall data control layer? And that's helped us and our customers make easier, better decisions on their overall underlying infrastructure.
Yeah. And like you said, it's bringing, not only the technical parts of the cloud, but also the operating model of cloud infrastructure back into hybrid.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so when we talk about hyperconverged infrastructure, we're really talking about the three layers of storage, compute, networking being put into one solution, right? So virtualization has played a part into that. Now hardware disaggregation is also playing a part into that. And so I want to talk about a little bit the evolution of where maybe hyperconverged is today, and with disaggregation, how that's changing kind of the traditional look of what hyperconverged is.
Yeah, so we a lot of our customers have adopted hyperconverged infrastructure, and if you go back a number of years, where this started, they wanted to get a lot of the benefits around simplification, whether it's being able to simplify the deployment process, drive more agility. They wanted to get that single pane of glass management to knock down a lot of those silos and provide a very simple way to be able to scale up when I have new requirements, right? To be able to go faster when I have new types of applications and workloads, right? And we've seen that as a great model for virtualized workloads. I think if we talk to a lot of our customers, I think general purpose virtualization, a lot of them started with VDI, right? That was kind of the common workload that we saw with HCI, right? It really simplified the ability to deploy that type of workload. What we've seen now, if we fast forward to today, is what I'm hearing from our customer base is, if I can get that same experience out of my general purpose workloads, why can't I bring that to other workloads in my data center that typically needed SAN performance, right? So my SQLs, my Oracles. I think we've had a lot of customers really try to do that, but the challenge they've run to is the cost, right? How do I get all of the data services, the things that come in my SAN? How am I able to adopt that in a hyper-converged environment without having to make a lot of compromises? And so what we did at Hewlett Packard Enterprise is we understood a lot of these challenges. And so we came up, essentially invented a technology that we call disaggregated hyperconverged, or DHCI as it's known, that essentially gives customers the best of both worlds, where they can get that single pane of glass like they would in HCI, but it's all disaggregated in the back end, meaning I can scale compute and storage independently, and I'm not forced to bring on resources that go unused. A lot of that, it's in the compute layer, right? You're being forced to add in compute when I really just need storage for business critical workloads. And this has really helped keep the cost model in line, give them what they need, but also allow them to really expand the workload conversation. And this has really helped enable cloud as well, right? Because it's simplification. It's able now to bring in a lot of these core business critical workloads and get that cloud-like efficiency that they want to get, they've been getting with a lot of their general purpose workloads.
Okay, you mentioned DHCI, so disaggregated hyperconverged infrastructure. At HPE Discover this year, I believe there was an announcement there around GreenLake for the private cloud business edition. That is DHCI that is running that?
Yeah, so DHCI is actually powering that, but I would say that the two big parts of it are number one, it's the consumption model, right? It's the ability to now consume private cloud infrastructure as a service. And if you look at what DHCI is as far as a stack, a lot of our customers have adopted this in kind of a private cloud model. And so what we've done here is provided a model that allows them to really align their workloads well to how they're consuming resources. So as they license and they pick, it's based on a subscription, they choose their units of measure, basically how they consume, capacity, CPU, and memory, and they can align their monthly subscription directly to that. Meaning, if they have a compute-intensive workload like VDI, they can align that monthly cost a lot more flexibly directly to that. So that's the one part that I think we've really helped with customers, as well as helping them honestly just to move faster, which we've been able to do through a GreenLake model. The second piece of that is how do we bring that hybrid cloud experience? And so with that, we have developed or launched a new HCI-like experience through our GreenLake cloud, our GreenLake console that essentially allows customers to manage their private cloud infrastructure as well as their virtual machines across hybrid cloud, literally through a global dashboard. So with a couple of clicks, they can deploy VMs on-prem, they can deploy VMs into the cloud, all really self-service without having to have kind of that deep vCenter or VMware admin knowledge. So it's more like that cloud experience, right? We've seen this I see this as a really good example in terms of, fitting well with our overall strategy with GreenLake. How do we bring that cloud experience to the customer no matter where the workload lies? And this is a good example of how we're doing this and reducing a lot of this complexity for virtualization.
And I would say that plays into security as well, that the data is being kept within the data center walls, right, rather than going out into the public cloud.
Exactly. So, while this is accessed through the cloud, all of the data in terms of how we're storing it, right, none of that's leaving the customer's data center, specifically for the the workloads that they need to have on-prem, right, that have to be there for a variety of reasons. So, the only thing that we are, it's essentially just supporting more API calls, and the only things up in the cloud really are performance data and things like that. So, again, everything is very secure directly within that, right? So customers don't have an issue. And then again, we've added on a lot of additional security that, again, that typically customers would expect, things like encryption, things like role-based access through our cloud portal, so that, again, we can give customers peace of mind.
Okay. And there's no way I could get out of this without mentioning artificial intelligence with where things are today. Is that a part of DHCI in the private cloud business?
Yeah, so when we look at artificial intelligence in general, I think the thing that customers think of when they talk about our storage portfolio is HPE InfoSight, right? That's kind of our claim to fame in terms of the ability to solve day two challenges and beyond, be able to proactively show our customers or our users, where problems are and solve them before they come issues, get customers directly into level 3. So again, all the kind of the typical level 1 and level 2 issues are solved for them before they know that they become an issue. So that's continues to be a big part of our storage strategy in terms of how do we utilize AI to help our customers make better decisions, and all of our solutions essentially are using pieces of that to be able to drive that type of value for our customer base.
All right, so it seems that every workload is kind of its own little beast, and you really need to dig into that to understand where it might best be suited to live in your environment. So Hyung, I know a lot of our clients are, approaching this with some proof of concepts in our Advanced Technologies Center. What are they asking you, or what are you seeing questions that people are having as they're coming to us?
Yes, for our customers, the ATC gives them a safe environment to innovate and to experiment. They don't need to worry about messing up or even failing. They can experiment and fail in the ATC, so they can learn and use the knowledge to safely deploy in their production environment. With ATC's connectivity to the public cloud and to the near cloud, our customers can try out the hybrid cloud solutions like the Private Cloud Business Edition. They can provision workloads on it and see if it makes sense to run that workload on it, or whether public cloud is more appropriate. Okay. They can see that they can also see what the experience is like to manage and monitor workloads on both public and private cloud using the single pane of management with the Private Cloud Business Edition.
And I'm assuming they can see mobility along with that too, that I could have a workload running on premises, but also move it to the cloud if needed, and vice versa, and be able to go back and forth.
Right. They could try that, right? And see if how difficult it is or how easy it is, mm-hmm. or what are some of the gadgets with that, right?
Sure. Yeah, so we have a lot of gear in the ATC from our partners at HPE. Is there any environments or capabilities specifically that we have in the ATC you'd like to highlight?
Sure. ATC has on-demand labs that the customers can have instant access to, including the labs for HP GreenLake Central, HP Electra, HP DHCI, and DSCC. Within DSCC, they can access HP Private Cloud Business Edition. Lastly, they can. We're eating our own dog food, so to speak. We brought in HP Electra 9080 in the ATC using HP GreenLake, and are working on bringing in Electra MP system also.
Okay, great. So one thing we haven't touched on yet, I know we mentioned artificial intelligence, but another industry trend that's going on right now is around edge computing. So this is the idea of data being generated outside the data center walls, and how are we going to enact processing on that data, maybe where it sits out at the edge. So customers are trying to understand what edge means to them, right? Similar to cloud, it's kind of a journey to see what edge is for each person. So what really does edge provide? What around DHCI could that benefit somebody also at the edge? I guess either for your younger Mark.
Yeah, there are a lot of edge computing use cases, right? One classic use case is self-driving car. Even with 5G, it's impossible to bring the terabytes of data that self-driving car produces in an hour and process it in time. Another use case are branch offices, imaging centers at healthcare facilities, and retail locations. The explosion of data at edge location makes it impossible to bring all that data back into the central data center and to process it in real or near real time. It makes sense to process data at the site. I think some of these use cases, HP Private Cloud Business Edition, it makes perfect sense. You can have multiple locations, being able to manage them in a central management framework with DSCC.
Okay. That makes sense with hyper-converged infrastructure too, that you need compute, storage, and networking together, really, to be able to handle the workload at the edge, rather than just one piece of that puzzle.
Yep.
So last question I have for the two of you, if you were able to get out your crystal ball and you could look into the future, so seeing where we're at today, what we've discussed already, where do you see, really the data center moving? Where do you see hyper-converged probably going in the next year or so?
I'll go ahead and start. Yeah, I think things are going to really still continue hybrid, right? With a lot of this trend, I think a lot of our customers are asking, how do we make things easier? How do we go faster with agility? How do we provide better services to manage our data growth that we have underneath? And I think we've bet pretty hard on our GreenLake Cloud platform to be able to help our customers get there, right? To be able to quickly move to new markets and to manage a lot of the complexity underneath, and have a lot of these types of services really work together, right? For example, Private Cloud Business Edition, one of the nice things that we did was we've worked to really integrate a lot of data services, whether we're talking about backup recovery or DR, to really make the experience similar to like what they're going to get in public cloud, but really enhanced. So I think we're going to continue on that. The other piece, I think what we've heard from our customers is, as they're looking to go out and consume, they want flexible ways to be able to, consume the resources, whether it's being able to pay up front, or whether, they want to be able to, consume this over time as a subscription and map very well to a lot of how their budget looks going forward, and where they're getting funding from. So, I think we have a lot of what we've moved to, where GreenLake is really evolving, I would say, is, moving into more as a brand and a marketplace, kind of like what you see with AWS, where customers come in, they choose what type of services they have, They choose how they want to go ahead and consume it. And it's very simple, right, to be able to adapt whatever ways their budgets are. So I think that's going to be a real trend going forward. And that's we feel really confident about where we're at right now with GreenLake, that we're in a really good position to really assist our customers going into the future.
Yeah, and I think along with that, if I were to look in the crystal ball and see what I'm seeing, disaggregation, I would say, is probably the thing that's going to continue to play a part in the data center. So what you're seeing with hyper-converged infrastructure and the GreenLake platform is, just further breaking hardware apart. And it's all about being able to compose and put together solutions to fit what the workload needs are, rather than being siloed into just having static hardware that was, purchased a certain way and it's stuck like that. Now with disaggregation, you're able to kind of take that apart and really put together a custom solution for whatever the workload is. So we're running close on time. Any one of these topics that we've talked about, hyperconverged infrastructure, artificial intelligence, edge, we could talk about these for hours, I'm sure. But for now, we'll call it a wrap. A tremendous thank you to Mark from HPE for joining us today. Mark, I appreciate the partnership that HPE gives us, everything that we have in the ATC, the solutions that we put together for our customers to showcase. Hyung, thank you as always for also your insight and expertise and for joining us today. And a big thank you to everyone viewing on WWT.com. If you'd like to learn more about anything we've talked about today, the WWT and HPE partnership, make sure you visit the partner section out on the WWT.com platform. There's lots of great resources. There's access to the labs that you've also heard talked about today. Lots of good stuff around GreenLake, as well as anything else that we're doing in the ATC with our partner at HPE. Feel free to reach out to us through WWT.com if you have any questions, or if you'd like to move forward in talking about any of these solutions. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.